Do you feel it, warrior? That invisible drain, a constant silent siphon on your energy, your focus, your very soul. It's the exhaustion that settles in your bones, not from a hard day's work, but from a hard day's managing of other people's feelings. You walk on eggshells that have been laid in your own home, your own mind. You brace for the vibration of your phone, knowing it's not a connection, but a summons. A demand wrapped in the language of love, of obligation, of family. This isn't a life, it's a siege, and the enemy isn't at the gates. It's already inside, sitting at your table, sleeping in your bed, whispering in your ear. It has convinced you that your highest purpose is to be a shock absorber for the emotional chaos of others. The battlefield is the tense silence at dinner, the passive-aggressive text message, the guilt-laced phone call. And in the middle of it all stands your greatest adversary, the voice inside your own head. It's the traitor that has learned the enemy's script by heart. When you even think of drawing a line, of saying no, it's that voice that screams, "You're being selfish." When you express a need, it's that voice that whispers, "You're too sensitive." It's the echo of every manipulator you've ever known, the one that asks, "If you really loved me, you would." This lie is the poison, the belief that you are responsible for their happiness, their anger, their disappointment. It has turned your empathy, your greatest strength, into the bars of your own cage. The cost of this war is not just your energy, it's your identity. You are becoming a ghost in your own life story. Your dreams are deferred, your goals are abandoned, your voice is silenced, all to maintain a fragile peace that is never truly peaceful. You apologize to de-escalate. You over-explain to justify your own existence. You shrink yourself to make room for their oversized emotions. If you do not break this cycle, it will consume you completely. You will wake up, one day a hollowed-out shell, a life lived entirely in service to the whims of others, with nothing left for yourself. The positive vibes and soft boundaries of pop psychology have failed you. They are paper shields against a steel sword. But what if I told you there is an ancient code, a warrior's discipline forged 2,000 years ago, not for monks on mountains, but for generals on the battlefield and emperors in the viper pit of Roman politics? A system of thought so brutally effective that it acts as a mental firewall, blocking the malicious data of manipulators before it can infect your mind. This isn't philosophy for a classroom. This is an arsenal for your survival. This is Stoicism, and it is not about suppressing what you feel. It is about seizing control of what you decide. It is the art of becoming an unbreachable fortress. Before we lift the first weapon, you must prove your commitment to the forge. Warriors do not enter the arena half-heartedly. Prove your discipline. Now, subscribe to this channel and strike the like button. This is your first act of conscious decision, a declaration that you are ready for the battle ahead. Then go to the comments and write the first brick in your new foundation. Post the phrase that will become your shield. It can be simple and brutal. "My mind is my own." Or, "I will not set myself on fire to keep others warm." Or, "Their feelings are not my facts." This is more than a comment. It is your sworn oath. In the next few minutes, we are going to dismantle the manipulator's game, piece by bloody piece. I will hand you the brutal secret of Marcus Aurelius, the tool he used to rule an empire without losing his mind to the schemers and flatterers in his court. We will build the 3 gates of judgment, a mental drill that will starve emotional vampires of the one thing they need to survive: your agreement. This is your path to severing their control, not by fighting them, but by making their weapons utterly useless. Against you, prepare yourself, the forging has begun. Let's be brutally honest, warrior. This condition you suffer from has a name. It is not kindness, it is not empathy. It is a disease of the soul, a spiritual infection that convinces you the highest form of love is self-immolation. You have become addicted to the illusion of peace, a peace purchased by sacrificing pieces of yourself, one apology at a time. You drink the poison of their emotional instability, hoping it will somehow cure them. You absorb their chaos and call it strength, but it is the most insidious form of weakness. The belief that your purpose is to be a sponge for another person's storm, that your value is measured by how much you can endure before you finally break. Look at what this has done to your body. Your body, the one physical vessel you have in this life, has become a battlefield. Where do you feel it first? The tightening in your chest when you hear their footsteps, the knot in your stomach when your phone buzzes with their name, the tension that lives permanently in your shoulders, a constant physical brace for the next emotional impact. This is not the noble exhaustion of a warrior after a fight. It is the slow, corrosive decay of a prisoner on death row. Your nervous system is frayed, constantly firing in a state of hypervigilance. You are aging yourself not with years, but with anxiety. Your body is screaming the truth your mind refuses to accept. This is not sustainable. This is a slow-motion suicide. Now look at your ambition. Where is it? Buried. Buried under a mountain of obligations that are not your own. The energy that you should be pouring into your craft, your business, your mission, is siphoned away by a single, guilt-laced text message. You hesitate to take risks at work, not because you fear failure, but because you fear the emotional fallout at home if you have to work late. You second-guess your own decisions, not based on logic or strategy, but on how they will be perceived by the emotional vampire in your life. Your career is not stalling because you lack talent or drive. It is being bled dry every single day by the parasitic demands placed on your focus and your will. And the great, tragic irony, the very relationships you are trying so desperately to preserve are the ones you are actively destroying. You think your constant appeasement is a form of love, but it is not. It is a lesson. You are teaching them that your boundaries are meaningless. You are teaching them that respect is optional. You are teaching them that you are not an equal partner, but a resource to be managed and consumed. Every time you shrink to make them feel big, every time you apologize for a crime you did not commit, you are eroding the foundation of any genuine connection. What remains is not love. It is a toxic codependency, a master and servant dynamic disguised as intimacy. Your mind, which should be your fortress, has become an occupied territory. The enemy is no longer at the gates. It is sitting on the throne, wearing your face. The manipulator's voice has become your own inner critic. Their accusations, "You're too sensitive, you're so selfish," are now the soundtrack of your own thoughts. You second-guess every instinct, you doubt every feeling. There is no quiet harbor in your mind, no place of peace, only the endless churning sea of their perceived needs and your perceived failings. You are at war with yourself, using ammunition that was handed to you by your abuser. This is the ultimate victory for them, to turn your greatest weapon, your own mind, against you. They have taught you to fear the word selfish. They have weaponized it, turning it into the ultimate accusation, the one that makes you surrender every time. But let's forge a new definition, a warrior's definition. True selfishness is not setting a boundary. True selfishness is not honoring your own needs. True selfishness is allowing your potential to rot because you are too afraid to disappoint someone else. It is robbing the world of the focused, disciplined, powerful warrior you were meant to be, all to placate the emotional whims of a tyrant. The most generous, giving, and noble act you can perform is to build yourself into an unbreakable human being. If you continue on this path, the future is not a mystery. It is a certainty. You will not just be a hollow shell, you will be a ghost, haunted by the life you could have lived. You will be filled with the most corrosive acid known to humankind: regret. Regret for the dreams you abandoned, the words you never said, the person you never became. The emotional vampires will eventually drain you dry and move on to a new host. and you will be left with nothing but the ruins of your own making. This is not a threat. It is a diagnosis. The disease is appeasement. The prognosis is self-annihilation. The only question is whether you will finally pick up the weapon and begin to fight back. Do you think you are the first to fight this war? Do you believe this soul sickness is a product of our modern, hyper-connected age? You are mistaken. This is an ancient plague. 2,000 years ago, the Stoic philosophers, men who stood in the blood-soaked arenas of the Colosseum and advised emperors in the snake pit of Roman politics, diagnosed your exact condition. They saw it in the generals who feared the opinions of their soldiers more than the blades of their enemies. They saw it in the merchants who chained their happiness to the fickle tides of the market. They saw it in the hearts of ordinary people who allowed the moods of their family to become their masters. They gave this disease a name, a failure to distinguish what is ours from what is not. The first Stoic law, the bedrock of this entire warrior code, is brutally simple. It is the dichotomy of control. The philosopher Epictetus, a man who was born a slave and rose to become one of the most revered teachers in the Roman Empire, laid it down like a blacksmith's hammer on an anvil. Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. Up to us are our thoughts, our judgments, our choices, our actions. Not up to us, everything else, the weather, the economy, the past. And most critically for you, warrior, the feelings, opinions, and reactions of other people. Your entire world of suffering is built upon the catastrophic error of trying to control what was never yours to command. You are trying to calm a storm that is not in your sky. This is why you are exhausted. You have been assigned an impossible task by your own mind, the management of another person's inner world. Every time they are angry, you believe it is your job to soothe them. Every time they are disappointed, you believe it is your responsibility to fix it. The Stoics would call this madness. It is like trying to command the sun to rise in the west. You can exhaust every ounce of your energy, sacrifice your every need, and you will still fail because their emotional state belongs to them alone. It is their property, their responsibility. By making it yours, you have volunteered for a lifetime of servitude to a cause that is already lost. The Stoics understood that the external world attacks us with what they called impressions or fantasia. An impression is the raw, unexamined thought that flashes into your mind. Your partner says, "You never think about anyone but yourself." The impression that follows is, I'm a bad, selfish person. The manipulator's entire game is based on feeding you these poisoned impressions. Their power is not in their words. It is in your immediate, unthinking agreement with the impression their words create. You don't just hear the accusation, you accept it as a verdict. You assent to the lie. This act of assent is the moment you hand the enemy the keys to your soul. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, faced this onslaught daily. He was surrounded by people who wanted to manipulate him, flatter him, and use his reactions against him. How did he rule the most powerful empire on earth without losing his mind? He practiced the art of examining his impressions. He wrote to himself, as a command, "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it." He did not try to stop the waves, the accusations, the demands, the emotional chaos of others. He trained himself to be the rock, to let the impressions crash against him without penetrating his inner fortress. He understood that the wave is just water. It is our judgment that calls it a threat. So, let's be clear, warrior. The problem is not that you are surrounded by manipulators. The problem is that your mind has been an undefended border. You have allowed hostile impressions to cross over at will, to set up camp, and to dictate your internal policy. You have been fighting the symptom, their behavior, instead of the disease, your own corrupted judgment. You have been arguing with the manipulator's words, trying to reason with their emotions, when the entire battle is won or lost in that single, silent moment before you agree with the story they are telling you about yourself. This diagnosis is not meant to crush you. It is meant to liberate you. If the source of your weakness is a faulty internal process, a broken judgment, then it is something that is entirely within your power to fix. You do not need them to change. You do not need them to apologize. You do not need them to see the error of their ways. You need only to reclaim the territory of your own mind. You need to learn how to stand guard at the gate of your thoughts and inspect every impression before you grant it entry. The prison is your own perception, and I'm about to hand you the key to shatter the lock. The time for diagnosis is over, warrior. The time for forging begins now. We will build your defense not with sandbags and wishful thinking, but with granite and steel. The first law of this new code is not a gentle suggestion. It is as absolute and unforgiving as gravity. It is the first brutal law of mental sovereignty, and it is this: you do not control their feelings, you only control your agreement. Burn this into the core of your mind. Their anger, their sadness, their disappointment, these are storms that rage in their world, not yours. Your entire life of suffering has been the result of you foolishly believing you could command another and person's weather. You have been trying to stop their reign by setting yourself on fire. That ends today. Understand the enemy's weapon. A manipulator has only one. It is not their anger, their tears, or their threats. Those are just the delivery systems. Their true weapon is a poisoned narrative, a distorted story about you. You are selfish. You are ungrateful. You are not enough. Their entire strategy hinges on a single critical action: your acceptance. They hand you a script in which you are the villain, and for your entire life you have read your lines on cue. Their power is not inherent, it is granted. It is a power you lend them every single time you nod your head in silent agreement to their lies. They are not sorcerers casting a spell. They are beggars asking for the currency of your belief, and you have been making them rich. We are going to starve them. We will cut off their supply line at the source. The weapon you will use is called withholding assent. But do not think of it as a philosophical concept. Think of it as a mental firewall. From this moment forward, every manipulative statement, every guilt-laced sigh, every passive-aggressive text is to be treated as a piece of malicious data trying to infect your system. Before, your mind was an open network, accepting every virus they sent. Now you will install this firewall. It does not argue. It does not get angry. It simply inspects the incoming data packet and asks one cold, logical question. Is this true, or is it merely their attempt to control me? The firewall's default setting is deny. Let's break down the attack. The manipulator says, after everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me. This is the incoming impression. It is designed to trigger an immediate emotional response, guilt. Your old programming would instantly accept this impression as fact. You would feel the guilt, and then you would scramble to appease them to make the feeling go away. The firewall changes the process. The impression arrives, but it is held in quarantine. You observe it with detachment. You see it not as a truth about your character, but as a tactic. It is a tool they are using. And once you see the tool, you can no longer be wounded by it. You see the strings, and the puppet show loses all its power. This is the power of the sacred pause. The manipulator's entire game depends on collapsing the space between their accusation and your reaction. They need your response to be immediate, emotional, and predictable. Your new discipline is to create a space in that moment, a silent, internal fortress where you can analyze the attack. When the accusation comes, you do not react. You breathe. You step back internally. You activate the firewall. In that 1 second of conscious pause, you reclaim a lifetime of stolen power. You cease to be a puppet reacting to a yanked string and become the warrior strategist observing the battlefield from a high vantage point. This law forces a radical and terrifying transfer of responsibility. You are hereby absolved of the duty of managing their emotional state. Let me repeat that, so the slave mentality in your mind can hear it. Their feelings are not your job. They are the sole, absolute proprietors of their own happiness, their own anger, and their own misery. Your responsibility is to your own mind, your own actions, your own character. By trying to carry their emotional burdens, you have been neglecting your sacred duty to build your own strength. You have been acting as a janitor for their soul, while your own temple crumbles into ruin. No more. Draw the line. Their side of the line is their business. Yours is the only one that matters. Your training begins with the next interaction. The very next time you feel that familiar pull of guilt, that knee-jerk impulse to apologize, that urge to manage their mood, you will halt. You will see it for what it is: a test, a drill, an opportunity to practice the first brutal law. You will observe the incoming impression. You will let your new mental firewall scan it for the poison of manipulation, and you will withhold your assent. You will not agree with their narrative. You will not catch the poisoned spear. You will simply let it fly past you and fall harmlessly to the ground. This is your first command, warrior. The reclamation of your mind has begun. Now we forge the armor. Theory is the blueprint. Action is the steel. You will now be handed the practical ritual, the warrior's drill for the moments you are under fire. This is not a meditation. It is a combat triage protocol for your mind. It is called the 3 Gates of Judgment. Every manipulative impression, every emotional attack, every whisper of your own inner critic will be forced to pass through these gates before it is allowed entry into your fortress. Most will not survive the interrogation. This is how you stop being a victim of their feelings and become the commander of your own perception. This drill, practiced relentlessly, will become as automatic as breathing. It is the engine of your new, unbreakable self. The attack comes. A loved one, their face twisted in anger, spits the words, "You only ever think about yourself." The poison is launched. Your old self would have caught it, felt the sting, and immediately begun the frantic dance of apology and self-defense. No more. The impression is halted at the first gate, the gate of truth. Here, you ask one brutal question: is this objectively true? Strip away their emotion, their history, their tone. Look at the raw data. Is it a fact, measurable and absolute, that you only ever think about yourself? Or is this statement a story they are telling themselves to make sense of their own hurt feelings? You will see it instantly for what it is, not a reflection of you, but a projection of them. It is their emotional interpretation, not a universal truth. The impression is exposed as a fraud. Having failed the test of truth, the impression is dragged to the second gate, the gate of responsibility. Here the interrogation continues with a single liberating question: is their emotional state my burden to carry? Look at their anger. Look at their disappointment. It exists inside of them. It is their property. For your entire life you have been a thief, stealing the emotional baggage of others and claiming it as your own. You have been doing their work for them. This gate is where you lay that burden down forever. You are not the architect of their inner world. You are not the physician for their soul. Their feelings are theirs to manage, theirs to understand, and theirs to own. By answering no at this gate, you sever the chains of codependency with the cold, clean edge of a sword. Finally, the weakened, fraudulent impression arrives at the third gate, the gate of virtue. The final question is the one that realigns you with your highest purpose. Does agreeing with this lie serve my mission? Does it make me a better warrior? Does believing that I am a selfish monster make me more disciplined, more courageous, more honorable? Or does it make me weaker, more anxious, and more likely to betray myself the next time? This gate forces you to choose between your own integrity and their emotional comfort. It exposes appeasement for what it is, an act of cowardice, an act of self-betrayal performed to quiet a storm that was never yours to calm. The impression, now revealed as a lie that is not your responsibility and which weakens your character, dissolves into nothing. Let's run the drill on the battlefield. The text message arrives from a parent. We're all getting together on Sunday. I know you said you needed that day for your project, but if you really cared about this family, you'd make the time. The guilt floods in. The old programming screams, go, appease, apologize. Instead, you go to the gates. Gate 1, truth. Is my love for my family measured exclusively by this one event? No, that is a manipulative narrative. Gate 2, responsibility. Is their potential disappointment my problem to solve at the expense of my own commitments? No, they are responsible for their reaction to my boundaries. Gate 3, virtue. Does abandoning a commitment I made to myself to appease their demand make me stronger? No, it makes me a person whose word means nothing, especially to myself. The drill is complete. The decision is clear. Now, watch what happens when you act on this new judgment. You do not argue, you do not defend, you do not over-explain. That is the old game. The new code is calm, detached, and final. You simply reply, I understand you're disappointed, but as I mentioned, I have a commitment on Sunday that I must honor. I look forward to seeing you all soon. And then, silence. You have refused to play the game. You have not accepted the script they handed you. You have stood your ground not with aggression, but with an unshakable and quiet resolve. The manipulator, on the other end, is now holding a useless weapon. They threw a spear of guilt and you simply stepped aside and let it hit the wall. This is the moment of their crisis, not yours. They are left in a state of profound confusion that will quickly curdle into frustration. All their tools, guilt, shame, obligation, have failed. They are pushing against a rock that will not move. They may escalate, they may lash out, they may accuse you of being cold or heartless. Let them. You will observe their tantrum from the high walls of your inner citadel. You will see it not as an attack, but as the desperate, flailing rage of a tyrant who has just discovered their power was an illusion all along. The true victory is not in silencing them. It is in the profound, unshakable peace you feel while they rage, knowing their storm can no longer make landfall in your soul. And so the dust settles on the battlefield, not with a bang, but with a profound and deafening silence. The first consequence of your new code is the shocking emptiness where the chaos used to be. The manipulators in your life do not surrender gracefully. They rage, they accuse, they escalate, they throw every weapon they have at your newfound fortress walls. And when nothing works, they fall silent. In the past, this silence was your terror. It was a threat, a punishment, the prelude to the next storm. Now, you hear it for what it truly is, the sound of their powerlessness. It is the sound of a parasite that has been starved of its host. You stand in the quiet, not with fear, but with a calm that feels alien and yet deeply familiar. It is the peace of a sovereign nation after the occupying army has finally been driven out. Look what happens to your energy. For years you have been living with a constant open wound, a spiritual hemorrhage that left you perpetually exhausted. Every morning you woke up with a deficit before your feet even hit the floor. Now that wound has been cauterized by the hot steel of discipline, the energy that was once siphoned off to manage their moods, to anticipate their needs, to craft careful apologies. It all comes flooding back into your own system. It is a tidal wave of pure potential. Suddenly, you have the focus for that project you abandoned. You have the strength to train your body, to build your business, to read that book. You realize with a terrifying clarity that you were never weak or lazy. You were a warrior fighting a constant, invisible, multi-front war. Now that the war is over, you are free to build your empire. Your mind, once a foggy swamp of anxiety and second-guessing, becomes a landscape of brutal clarity. The constant buzzing calculus of, if I do this, they will feel that, is gone, erased. Decisions are no longer filtered through the lens of another person's potential reaction. They are weighed on two scales only, reason and virtue. The voice of the inner critic, that traitor who spoke with the manipulator's accent, grows faint. It has been starved of your agreement, and without it, it withers and dies. For the first time, you can hear your own thoughts untainted. Your instincts are sharp. Your judgment is clear. You are no longer navigating their emotional minefield. You are marching on the straight paved road of your own purpose. Be prepared, warrior, for the purification. Some people will leave your life. They will call you cold, selfish, changed. Let them go. They were never your allies. They were your dependents, your jailers. Their departure is not a loss. It is a cleansing. It is the shedding of a parasitic skin. The relationships that remain and the new ones that you forge will be built on an entirely different foundation, not on obligation, but on respect, not on need, but on mutual strength. You will discover the profound truth that genuine connection does not demand your self-annihilation. True allies want to see you strong. They celebrate your boundaries. They are not threatened by your sovereignty. You will finally learn the difference between a cage disguised as a home and a fortress built for two. Listen to the sound of your own voice. Before, it was hesitant, riddled with apologies and qualifiers. You would over-explain simple decisions, justifying your existence as if you were on trial. You asked for permission to take up space in your own life. That voice is dead. In its place is a calm, quiet certainty. No becomes a complete sentence, delivered without anger or apology. I have a commitment becomes an unbreachable fact, not an excuse to be debated. You speak less, but your words carry the weight of forged steel. This is not aggression. It is the economy of power. You no longer need to raise your voice because you have found your footing on the unshakable ground of self-respect. The word they use to beat you with, selfish, becomes your shield. You see it now for the weapon it always was, a tool to shame you back into compliance. You have reclaimed it, reforged it in the fires of your new philosophy. You understand that the most profoundly selfish act you ever committed was allowing your potential to rot in the prison of their expectations. The most selfish thing was to rob the world of the focused, disciplined, powerful version of you that was waiting to be unleashed. Now, serving your mission, honoring your body, protecting your mind, you see these not as selfish acts but as your sacred duty. To build yourself into an unbreakable human being is the greatest gift you can give to anyone worthy of being in your life. This is the final destination, warrior, not a fleeting state of happiness, but a permanent condition of tranquility. The Stoics called it ataraxia, an inner citadel that is impervious to the chaos of the outside world. The phone can buzz with an angry text, a family member can rage, the world can churn with crisis and uncertainty, and you, at the center of it all, remain unmoved. Not because you are numb, but because you have made a final irrevocable distinction between what is yours to control and what is not. You have become the rock that Marcus Aurelius spoke of. The waves of their emotion crash against you, and they do not break you. They break themselves upon you. You did not win their game. You rose above the board and realized you were never a playing piece to begin with. You are the master of your own. The fortress is built, warrior, but a fortress left unguarded will fall. The victory you felt in that first moment of defiance is not the end of the war. It is the beginning of the occupation. Your enemy, the ingrained habit of self-betrayal, is relentless. It does not sleep. It waits for a moment of weakness, a crack in your resolve, and it will seep back in. Therefore, your discipline must be more relentless still. A weapon is only a weapon when it is in your hand. An army is only an army when it drills. Your mind is no different. We will now install the daily operating system of the Stoic warrior. This is not a suggestion, it is your new command. This ritual is called the morning muster. It will take you 5 minutes. It must be performed every single morning before you allow the world to infect your mind, before you touch your phone, before you check your email, before you engage with another human being. You will rise with the sun, and while the world still sleeps, you will arm your soul for the battles to come. This is not a gentle meditation to find your bliss. This is a warrior's preparation. For combat, you are stepping into the armory, checking your weapons, and reminding yourself who is in command of this fortress. To skip this ritual is to walk onto the battlefield naked and unarmed, inviting defeat. The first action of the morning muster is the declaration of sovereignty. You will stand, look at yourself in a mirror if you must, and speak these words aloud. Let the vibration of your own voice be the first thing your mind registers. You will say, "My mind is my property. My perceptions are my own. The feelings of others are not my facts, and their chaos is not my responsibility. Today, I will honor my commitments to myself. I am the sole commander of this fortress." Do not just recite the words. Feel them. This is you planting your flag in the soil of your own mind, redrawing the border that has been violated for years. It is a sworn oath, renewed with every sunrise. The second action is the battlefield reconnaissance. Close your eyes. For 2 minutes you will visualize the day ahead. You will see the likely points of conflict, the text message from the emotional vampire, the phone call you are dreading, the interaction where you know your boundaries will be tested. But you will not visualize the conflict itself. You will visualize your response. You will see the manipulative impression, the guilt trip, the passive-aggressive jab coming toward you like a slow-motion arrow. And you will see yourself calm and centered, applying the 3 gates of judgment. You will see yourself letting the arrow fly past. This is not fantasy. This is a combat drill for your neurons. You are building the muscle memory of non-reaction. The third and final action is the marching order. You will choose one single, concrete action that moves your mission forward today. Not a vague goal, but a specific command. I will spend 1 hour on my project without interruption. I will go to the gym and train my body. I will say no to one request that violates my boundaries, and I will not explain myself. This act anchors your entire day in proactive construction, not reactive defense. It reminds you that your purpose is not merely to survive the attacks of others, but to build your own empire. You are shifting the focus from their war to your victory. This 5-minute ritual is the forge. It is where you will hammer your will into shape each morning. It is the non-negotiable foundation of your new life. The declaration of sovereignty builds the walls. The battlefield reconnaissance trains the sentries. The marching order builds the kingdom within those walls. Do this for 7 days, and you will feel a shift. Do this for 30 days, and you will become unrecognizable to your former, weaker self. Do this for a year, and the fortress of your mind will become legendary, an unbreachable citadel that lesser minds speak of with awe and fear. Your new life does not begin when they change. It begins tomorrow morning at dawn, when you decide to become the commander you were always meant to be. The muster is called. Do not be late. The battle is won, warrior, but the war is eternal. We have journeyed from the suffocating fog of servitude to the sharp, clear air of sovereignty. You now hold the weapons that have been denied to you. You understand the first brutal law. Their feelings are not your facts. You have built the mental firewall of withholding assent, the unbreachable defense that starves manipulators of their only source of power, your agreement. You possess the combat drill of the three gates of judgment, the merciless interrogation that exposes every lie before it can poison your mind. And you have the daily ritual, the morning muster, the forge where you will hammer your will into an unbreakable weapon with every sunrise. These are not theories. These are the laws of your new reality. Look at yourself. You are not the person who began this journey. That person, the ghost in their own life, the sponge for the emotional chaos of others, is dead. They died on the battlefield of your own mind, slain by the cold steel of discipline. In their place stands a stoic warrior, a fortress, a commander. You no longer walk on eggshells. You walk on the solid ground of your own principles. You no longer seek permission to exist. You grant it to yourself. This transformation is not a mood or a feeling. It is a reconstruction of your very soul, rebuilt brick by brick, law by law. You did not find a new way to cope. You forged a new identity, but do not mistake this victory for permanent peace. The world will not stop testing you. The emotional vampires will not simply vanish. They will seek new ways to breach your walls. Your old programming, the voice of the inner traitor, will whisper to you in moments of fatigue, tempting you to return to the familiar comfort of your cage. This is why your discipline must be a living thing, a fire you tend to every single day. The warrior does not train once for a single battle. The warrior trains every day for a lifetime of war. Your practice is your shield. Your rituals are your armor. Your commitment is the only thing standing between the fortress you have become and the ruins you once were. This is the code you will carry from this day until your last. This is the truth you will burn into the core of your being, the thought that will silence every doubt and repel every attack. It is your final, unshakable decree. Remember this when the guilt trips. Come, remember this when the accusations fly. Remember this when your own weakness whispers for you to surrender. You are not a ship to be tossed by the storms of their emotions. You are the lighthouse. You are the rock. Your decree is this: their world may be chaos. My mind is a citadel. If this battle has ignited a fire in you, then prove it. Go to the comments now and write the phrase that will guide your next 24 hours. Make it your oath. Share this call to arms with another warrior who needs to awaken from their slumber. Subscribe to this channel to continue forging your mind into the weapon it was meant to be. The discipline is daily. We will see you in the arena.